Hello, what's this, episode 3? You're right, subscribers, from the streets to YouTube. There's something to get off my chest now. I was going to do the 90s. I just started doing the last video, and I thought, how am I going to do this without incriminating myself? That's the hard part. Or incriminating other people. Mind you, I weren't going to say any names, so I weren't going to incriminate them. But you're incriminating yourself. Let's just say, from the first time I got into doing what I used to do, from an early age I knew to keep your lip buttoned, keep yourself to yourself, and don't do anything when there's people around, i.e. don't go out and do things, 3 or 4 of yous, because if one of yous got caught, one of them would always grass. Because what you learn about the East End is there's an awful lot of criminals, there's an awful lot of grasses. People love opening their fucking mouth, don't they? Bunny, 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 jabber, jabber, jabber. They love being the hard nut. There was a conversation I heard once in a pub when I was young, where the geezer was talking to his mate, and I was just sitting behind with a couple of family members with me a little orange juice. And I remember the geezer was having a back and forth about how one had been to prison, the other one hadn't been to prison. And they was having this deep discussion, these two Cockney geezers, about how did you never get caught? And the geezer said, I'd never shit on my own doorstep. That was one thing that my nan told me as well. Never shit on your own doorstep. Don't do things in gangs. Have the savvy to and have the common sense to be honest about it all. Now, I was honest, even though I went into the world of crime. I was honest. So if anything ever happened, or shit went down or that, someone knocked at my door or phoned me up and said, meet me here, I want an explanation for this, I was just blatantly honest. Always told them what I got out of it, what I was doing, what I was about, and how I'm going to rectify the situation. And that was the best thing that you could do. Now, that's not the best way to make money, but it's the best way to gain trust in that world. And when people trust you, you've got more jobs to do. If you can imagine some of these films, what you watch on Netflix, and Guy Ritchie films and stupid little films about London gangsters, and you see all the YouTube stuff on London gangsters, I'll tell you now, half of that is proper bullshit. It's so over the top and dramatic that it always cracks me up, right, when you got these YouTubers, got a crime geezer on, don't they? And they go, yeah, I was really successful. I spent 30 years in prison, and the geezer's about 60 or whatever. No one in general on TV, just from A to Z. Most of them, let's just say, if you were a successful criminal, you wouldn't have got caught. Now, I've never done time in prison, so I count that as successful. Some of the stuff that I've done, I would have still been in prison. I'd have spent my life in prison. I'd have spent, like what they've done, 3 years in, 6 months out, 3 years in, 6 months out. Most of them people who have been in prison, I'd say 3/4 of them have been grassed up on and got caught because of that. Now, going back to that conversation that I heard about never do things in gangs, always keep yourself to yourself, keep your enemies close, all that sort of crap, yeah? Completely true. All those analogies, what people tell you, if you live by some of them, then I wouldn't call it a success what I done, but I was lucky enough not to go to prison. I was unlucky enough where I didn't go to prison, but I was getting paid in cash and narcotics. That was bad. That was bad because I didn't realise I got an addictive personality to high heaven. And I've got I call it a Cockney constitution. So it wasn't the sort of constitution where I was happy with a couple of joints and a beer. You know what I mean? That weren't my cup of tea. I'd be quite happy with 14 grams of a particular powder, and I'd be happy with 14 grams of a particular smokable, and I'd be happy with 14 pills, and I'd be happy with 3 grams of a particular opioid from a particular country. You know what I mean? That's when I'd be happy. I had a little box, little wooden box. Now, I'll show you. A little wooden box like that I used to have. Right, I only got this out of the closet because this is an old-fashioned wooden box that I got about 7 years ago before I went straight. And little open box. And when I was about 19, I had one of those, like a cigar box, stashed every drug known to man in it. Every drug that was available on the street in its most purest form, I had. Because I was doing jobs in the criminal world, I was getting the good shit. So I wasn't getting the bad shit of anything. And that led me, I got so addicted to certain substances that I had to keep going deeper into the criminal world to earn more money to pay for it all. Just at that time, about 4 years into the 90s, I was deeply into my music. So all of the time I've been playing guitar and frequenting the squats of Islington, Hackney, Dalston, Oxton, soaking in as much music as I could, playing my guitar, and it was like leading a double life. And at the same time, I was the only fucker with a driver's license and a car. So I was addicted straight away from being a man, taking copious amounts of everything, to finding myself in this weird twilight world of doing crazy jobs for crazy people in crazy times. It was the 90s. I don't know how I survived the 90s. I really don't know how I'm on this planet today with this. I'll tell you one little game we used to play with drugs, right? As we used to, it was my idea as well. My silly bastard. This might sound crazy, but I used to, where we was into music, and a few of our pals were into music, we used to take the cocktails that killed the rock stars, and we used to go out on purpose, buy the exact equivalent of what these rock stars had taken, and they passed away, and we used to sit there, chuck on the pirate radio, chuck on the Black Sabbaths, the fucking Alt Queens, and man, and we used to do the exact same drugs that these rock stars, these 60s and 70s rock stars that has overdosed on. You know what I mean? We thought we were, after doing that, after that game, I thought we was indestructible. absolutely indestructible. It was fucking crazy. But the drugs got the better of me throughout the 90s. They got they got their hooks in so deep that I didn't see what was going around me at the time with friends. I buried so many friends, good friends. I've lost so many good friends. I lost one of the best friends I ever had. I met her in the middle of the 90s. And she went away for a year. Her dad took her away for a year. And to get her cleaned up, she come back, got cleaned up, fell in with the wrong crowd again. And then 3 months later of me moving back into London, I tried to find her, and she'd already overdosed and died. And I blame myself for that, because if I'd just left the situation I was in another part of London and moved back, she would have still been. She was one of the bestest friends I've ever had in my life. We only known each other for a couple of years. And it's heartbreaking when you meet people like that. Heartbreaking. And there's so many different things that have happened when I start to remember in my drug fucked head, brain fogged head. I'd like to, like if you had a time machine, things that you would change, regrets. All the while taking these drugs, I used to say to my friends, I've got no regrets. I've got no, even up until the age of fucking 35, 40, no regrets. I've got no. Now I look back, there's so many regrets. This will be episode 3, I think, of this one, because I'm starting to remember stuff. I'll have to remember stuff, write it down. But that was the start of the 90s. That was the very start of the 90s, up until about 95. Without incriminating myself into anything underhanded, we can all go through. I'll have to think of a way to do it properly. Have a good day. Take care. And if you find yourself in trouble with narcotics, with the drugs and shit like that, watch this video. If you're a youngster, you don't have to go that way, mate. They don't bring you nothing except for a high. And when you're sober, you don't realise, now that you're sober after a couple of years, you don't realise that them highs that you get with the drugs are nothing compared to the highs that you can achieve when you're sober. It's such a good feeling being sober. It's such a good feeling just saying, nah, mate, ain't doing that shit no more. That high is better. It's a better feeling of well-being than sitting there, vegetating, doing criminal stuff to get the money to feed the habit, because it ain't cheap no more. It's 2025, mate. It ain't cheap no more for these drugs. You'll be skint. The next episode, I will tell you how much money I've spent in my life on drugs, and what ups and downs you're going to get, and how to avoid it all. All right? I'll research it. I'll write it down and give myself bullet points to talk, because this is just off the cuff. Have a good day. God bless. If you've got a problem, I've got an email on the community page. If you've got an addiction problem, you can always email me, get me WhatsApp, and I'll talk to you one-to-one and help you through things and stuff like that. Have a good one. Baked potato.